The voice resonated down the dimly lighted hall, carrying the weight of someone who had seen ages of conflict. You don't hurt humans. One slip, and they will hunt you. It doesn't matter where you hide or how prepared you are. Orina, the elder of the Icelan race, one of the oldest species in the Zith coalition, delivered these words, which hung heavily in the air. The council, an immense oval room cut from the rock of a dead moon, was packed with representatives from 10 species. What is the theme of the meeting? The authorization of an attack on a human outpost in a disputed area. Murmurs erupted across the chamber as numerous council members ignored the elders' warnings. For them, mankind was a young race that had recently emerged on the galactic scene. Only a century had passed since humans joined the star community, and they were children in comparison to the ancient creatures that existed there. Terran, a representative of the Ion, an amphibious species noted for their excellent strategy, leaned forward on the opposite side of the chamber. His blue skin shone in the dim light, and his black reflected eyes surveyed everyone present. Humans are impulsive, yes, noisy and chaotic, Terran continued calmly, but this fear, it makes no sense. We face far worse species with more advanced technology, more powerful armies, and infinitely more brutal tactics. The voices of condemnation grew louder, but Terran's gaze fell on a figure in the rear of the room. HRI, a hardened Durkai commander and one of the galaxy's most dreaded, bowed with a grim smile. You call it fear, Terran, but I call it experience. The general's strong voice echoed across the hall, drowning out the other muttering. I fought them at the siege of Saros. They had no advantage. They were outnumbered, outgunned, and yet we lost. Terran lifted a doubtful eyebrow. And how did this happen? Hadric's eyes narrowed. We captured one of their commanders early in the battle. We expected retaliation or perhaps a negotiation for his release. Weeks passed without any contact. Then suddenly, 3 of our battleships were wiped out in a single night, silent, precise, and in the end, they took the commander back. They didn't have to say a word, but the message was clear. The council went into an uneasy quiet, even Terran's confidence looking disturbed despite his placid demeanor. At the top of the table, Avon, the council president and leader of the Salinari species, known for their neutrality and intelligence, lifted his long, sharp arm. His speech, calm and steady, mirrored the characteristic tone of his race. General HRI, we recognize your concerns, but we must weigh the potential benefits. The human colony is remote and poorly defended. Its strategic importance cannot be ignored. Resources, control of a crucial trade route. These are things we cannot let slip. Hadric shook his head slowly, his look stern, as if he knew what would happen. You underestimate them. They don't fight like us. They don't know when to give up. And most importantly, they don't forget. Another member, Reek, an intimidating Ravano, burst out laughing. His crimson leathery skin shone as he stood up, dominating the space around him. The Ravano were famed for plunder and feared for their cruel tactics. We're the predators here, not them, Renak declared, arrogance oozing from his lips. Humans may be cunning, but they are still just another species to conquer. We will crush them like any other. Hadric's gaze hardened. They are not like other races. Kill one human, and an army will come after you. They don't stop. You think you're the hunter, but with them, you'll see you're the hunted. Rayon lifted his hand again, attempting to alleviate the growing tension. We understand your perspective, General Hadric, but we cannot make decisions based solely on fear. Hadric sighed and went back into his chair. He'd seen what humans were capable of. It would not end as the council had hoped, but they knew their warnings would be ignored. The others were consumed by greed and desire. Councilors voted, one by one. The majority had joined with Run and Terran, supporting the attack on the human outpost. Hadric observed passively, accepting the inevitable consequence. A little outpost, far away on the outskirts of known space and human territory, quietly scanned the stars. This outpost, no more than a dot on the huge galactic globe, acted as a communications and logistical hub, keeping trade routes and supply lines operational. Inside the dimly illuminated control room, Lieutenant Darius Voss leaned back in his chair and watched the displays in front of him. Nothing but empty space. Pirates, he mumbled, sipping his cold coffee. Sergeant Mira Holt, his second in command, approached with a smile and offered another cup. Looks like we're in for another peaceful night, doesn't it? Darius gave a quick laugh. Yeah, but you know what they say about lulls. Never trust them. As if in response to his comments, one of the displays blinked. Darius frowned, and leaned down to inspect the statistics. Wait, we have something here. Pirates. Mira immediately became awake. I'm not sure. 6 unidentified ships are approaching fast, Darius answered, his fingers flying over the controls. They're moving too coordinated to be just looters. Mira picked up the intercom. Attention, everyone. At the ready, we have visitors on the way. The station's lights darkened as the crew prepared to make contact. Although the outpost defenses were weak, they had a secret weapon that the alien ships were unaware of: Sentinel-class drones, autonomous defense units engineered for quick response. Darius's eyes examined the radar frequencies. The alien ships approached, creating an arc around the base, but their moves were strange, hurried, overconfident. They think this will be easy, Mira mumbled, staring at the screen. Big mistake. Darius nodded, his expression serious. Let's show them what happens when they underestimate us. As the alien ships approached, they started firing, launching a volley of plasma rounds at the base, but the humans were prepared. Darius triggered the sentinels with a rapid command, and the drones advanced to precisely intercept the shots. The battle had begun, but Darius knew it was more than just a struggle for survival. It was a message to the galaxy, reiterating the warning Hadric had attempted to offer the Council. Humans were not to be underestimated, and they would battle until they died to protect their own. Sergeant, they're approaching quickly, Darius Voss said, his voice hard yet calm. His hands hovered over the controls, prepared to act precisely. Great, let's welcome them, Mira said. Standing immediately behind Voss, Mira Holt examined the control room while the crew took their strategic positions. We trained for this. The extraterrestrial ships approached closer and closer. Voss could see their exquisite outlines like daggers slashing through space. 5 of them, armed and seemingly ready for the final onslaught, which they expected to be an easy victory. Activate defense systems. This is not a drill, Voss said over the speaker. Prepare for combat. The station immediately went into defensive mode. Cannons rotated into attack positions, shields pulsed with newly activated energy, and red warning lights flashed over the base. The crew, who had long been trained for such situations, took up their places with resolve. However, the invaders continued to assume they were in control. Voss studied the radar, noting the ship's approach points. Let's wait a little longer, he told himself. The tension in the air was obvious. Holt leaned into him. Shouldn't we attack them now before they fully organize? Let them come closer, Voss said, his gaze fixated on the data. I want them to think we're unprepared. The invading ships advanced, preparing for the attack. They assumed they had the upper hand, ignoring the subtle indicators of preparedness from the human station. Voss kept his solid attitude, waiting for the appropriate opportunity. The enemy ships began to line up in an arc around the station, indicating a coordinated attack. Now, he eventually said, his voice determined. With a single order, the station went into full operation. The defensive cannons fired in succession, and plasma sparkles burst through the expanse of space, surprising the alien ships. 2 of the ships burst in a shower of metallic debris, fracturing into light bits that floated motionless across the vacuum. 2 targets down, Holt announced with a delighted smile. Voss didn't answer. His gaze remained riveted on the monitor, where the other hostile spacecraft were starting to assemble. These aliens had not anticipated such a strong defense, especially from a base they thought inconsequential. 3 left, Voss mumbled, seeing the red dots on the radar as the attackers reassembled and switched tactics. Holt began spreading instructions around the station, ensuring that each defense tower was fully functioning and shields were intact. Now they'll be more careful, she said, noting the attackers' tactical movements. Voss nodded. Let's see if they are quick to learn. The Assaults began experimenting with new tactics, spreading out and attempting to outflank the station defenses. Their ships were swift, but the humans, with their automated response technology and tactical coordination, were even faster. Voss's hands sped over the panel, changing targeting systems and redirecting energy to shields. Every hostile move seemed premeditated. The station published another sequence of pictures, and another ship was severely damaged, its fuselage shattering in a ball of flames that lit up the battlefield. The crew's brief applause did not deter Voss, who remained calm. They're changing focus, Holt explained, her gaze locked on the radar. They're trying to attack our engines. That means they intend to disable us. Voss said with a faint smirk. Maybe they intend to invade us later. Try it, Holt responded boldly. The two remaining ships increased their attacks, but they were noticeably more desperate, firing haphazardly as they moved fast about the station, hoping to find an opening. Voss kept control, refusing to let the situation go out of his hands. He had prepared for this by studying every battle tactic and the right answers to similar scenarios. "They're getting disorganized," Holt remarked, her gaze fixated on the attackers' erratic movements. "They're losing control," Voss acknowledged, calibrating the targeting system for the final time. And as if on cue, one of the enemy ships committed a deadly error. She got too close to the back of the station where the big guns were stationed. With a single accurate shot, the ship shattered into floating bits. "There's only one left," Holt remarked, smiling triumphantly. The final hostile ship paused its course, alternating between attacking and withdrawing. The alien pilot appeared to recognize his mistake. The ship then turned and started its departure, racing away from the station. "They're running away," Holt said, still in shock. "Not for long," Voss said, unleashing the station's long-range armaments. The group remained silent as Voss adjusted his sights. He waited for the right moment, watching the hostile ship accelerate more and more. He quickly pressed the trigger, and a tremendous explosion illuminated space as the last ship vanished into ruins. The audience was filled with yells and congratulations, but Voss remained silent. He turned to Holt and said, "This wasn't the end. This was only the start."